Welcome back to the end of Saw Month, guys. It's been a good month so far, and we finally hit the end with the spin-off of Spiral. So this just came out actually earlier this year. This was one of the first kind of big movies to hit theaters here in America when the pandemic started slowing down. And it didn't do that movie any favors. It barely broke even. $20 million budget. I don't know why, because the movie did not look like it was made on $20 million. Jigsaw genuinely looked more expensive than this. And it only made $40.6 million at the box office. But so to me, this is still kind of a new one because Saw 1 through 7 and Jigsaw, I'd watched a ton. This one I've only seen once. So basically for all three of us, it's still kind of first impressions. So Santino, let's start with you on this one.
So Spiral was the first trailer I saw for any Saw thing back in January 2020 when Dylan sent it to me. And I watched the trailer and I was like, okay, let's see what it's about. And I immediately got hooked when Chris Rock had that opening lines with that cop. And it was like, I knew a girl for 600 Tuesdays and she wasn't worth 3 Saturday nights. I was like, oh, damn. Wow, okay, I like this. And then 21 Savage song plays, like, how much money you got? And then it switches to the traps. And yeah, I mean, watching Spiral, I'm going to be real with you guys here. I honestly really like it. And seriously, because I know it's it does something that I wish more spin-offs would do. It really makes it feel like it's its own thing. You know how in other movies Star Wars, they do their best to absolutely make sure hey, remember, this is a Star Wars film. Here's the Millennium Falcon. Here's Lando. Here's the Kessel Run. Remember, it's a Star Wars film. Go watch a Star Wars movie, please. Now here it's they do their absolute best to be okay, yeah, Jigsaw is his own thing. Yeah, we're gonna mention him once or twice, but this is his own thing, which is cool. Which is cool. I honestly like that. I honestly like it. It takes real balls for the director. Okay, we're gonna distance ourselves from the Saw name and we're gonna make this our own thing, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm. I appreciated that amount of restraint they had. They just briefly mentioned John Kramer and they show a picture of him. I do admire their attempts to actually make this a standalone.
Yeah, because it takes real balls. Because in this day and age of Hollywood, if your name is not attached to a big, if you don't have references to a big, cinematic universe or say oh, we're a spin-off of this, you won't make money. But I think it takes real balls for Spiral, which is they have from the book of Saw, and they mentioned John Kramer a couple of times, but at least it's it deviates from this is our own thing with our own killer. The traps feel different, the killer does sound different. It's different enough to be okay, I feel like I'm watching a Saw spin-off instead of a Saw sequel. Yeah.
And another thing that really made it stood out as a spin-off was definitely the lighting.
Yeah.
And the setting, which was majorly different. Saw 1 through 7 and even Jigsaw, to me, I think it was the one scene in Saw 2 where Eric Matthews and his son were out by the water. I was like, all right, this movie either takes place somewhere on the northern west coast of America or somewhere in the northeast coast. It was one of those, you know what I mean? Massachusetts. I always got either Massachusetts vibes or somewhere in Oregon or Seattle or something. And this one, they even talked about oh, those rolling blackouts. I'm like, all right, this is obviously Los Angeles or somewhere in Southern California.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Actually, because you mentioned earlier, Chad, that the budget does not show. I kind of disagree with that. I think this is the most expensive looking Saw movie to date. There's a lot of outdoor scenes. There's
I agree.
It takes place in a crowd, which apparently was filmed guerrilla style. I have no idea how they did that, but yeah, I think this movie.
No scenes of people obviously sitting in cars with the camera shaking at them.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of outdoors. There's more extras. It doesn't feel as claustrophobic.
It's
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
I think when I look at it though, but it's just like I said, 20 and Jigsaw was 10. I mean, did this really look double the budget of Jigsaw though?
Maybe not, but I do like the look of this movie better. I think the lighting, like you mentioned, is way more versatile. Like
Outdoor, yeah.
outdoors, it's all yellow. It gives this sense of like there's a heat wave going on.
And by the way, who directed it, Dylan?
It's Darren Lynn Bousman.
Back from
Back
2,
at it
3,
again.
4.
Yeah, I think he seems to have matured a little bit as a director in terms of like his technical craft. Whereas Jigsaw, while I do like that it's it isn't as like grungy as the other movies. I think it's almost too clean and bright to where it looks like a Canadian soap opera or something.
That's how I felt with 7 until we hit the very end down in the bathroom again. I'm like, Saw 3D felt so clean, but I would definitely agree with you on this one. Yeah, this felt a little more ground level and dirty.
Yeah. So I think, yeah, as on a technical level, I think it is one of the better Saw movies, but in just about every other aspect, I think it's one of the weaker ones. I think the fact that it is so removed from the Saw franchise as a standalone, could work, but even then, as a standalone, like murder mystery crime thriller, it's just not very good, honestly.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of this one. I remember seeing it in theaters and just kind of being like, okay. I mean, they kind of played their twist. They played their twist a little earlier than I think they should have, and then nothing really seemed to play out from it. Like, what's his face? Uh, Shank being still alive. Like,
Yeah.
they showed that like what 15 20 minutes before the movie was done, and then it was like they didn't really do. I mean, that's when they like basically, it's like they took what they did with Logan at the end of Jigsaw and stretched it out by 15 minutes, and it's like Logan's thing worked because it was the last like 3 minutes of the film. Here it was like, you've dragged this out so long now
And honestly,
that you don't have a twist right at the end.
Honestly, okay, here's the thing: the twist was really predictable. Like,
It wasn't much of a reveal either. He's just kind of standing there in a flat shot, nothing dramatic
Which is
about
weird.
it.
Like, how does Bousman go from some of the stuff he did in 2, 3, and 4, and then he goes to that?
I think it's more of a writing decision. I mean, the twist is so obvious because, like, okay, based on the trailers, like I heard like the digitized like Kermit the Frog voice. I was actually suspecting I was suspecting the chief, actually. Like, I thought it would be her because, why else would you digitally alter your voice to that extent?
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as they showed William die off screen by getting skinned to death, like, since when did the Saw franchise do shit off screen? So at that point, I was like, okay, it's got to be Shank.
That's, you know what? It's funny because that's pretty much a rule for any horror film. If they die off screen,
they're coming back.
You never believe that. You can't believe they're dead ever.
Yeah, even if they die on screen, like in Scream when her boyfriend gets killed.
That's true.
He dies on screen, but yeah, just very underwhelming, even especially for a Saw movie.
And it's like, I'm gonna say the complete obvious that everyone thought. This felt so much like it took inspiration from 7.
Yeah, 7 crossed with like 48 hours, I think, with a buddy cop thing, but not nearly as good as either of those. And I think the thing is with a Saw movie, there's like a trifecta of what I look forward to. There's some cool traps, which this movie does have. There's some pretty good ones here.
Yeah, I like the
cool traps. A crazy, ridiculous twist, which this movie doesn't really have, and Tobin Bell, which this movie has none of at all.
Yeah, when it comes to the traps, I think the only one I actually saying enjoyed is going to sound so morbid, but the captain down in the cold storage.
that was pretty brutal. Her having to sever her spine and all.
Yeah, that was really the only one that I kind of like was like, all right, this is really messed up. The rest, I was just kind of like the one
I think
dude
my
rip your tongue out or you're gonna get hit by the train.
I think my
I
favorite.
like the tongue one.
I was
Yeah.
fine with it, but it was just like,
I liked it because it was simple and like because William is not an engineer like John Kramer was, so
mhm.
I like how kind of basic. I guess it makes no sense how he was knocked out and managed to stand in that chair for that long, but
I mean, William still got away with a ton of stuff he shouldn't have been able to, though.
oh yeah, for
I
sure.
also like. I also honestly like. My favorite trap was the one Sam Jackson was in. Because that was awesome.
What, with the
Sure.
blood draining out of him, or when he got killed?
No, the one where he got killed. The one where like the shotgun pops out and he raises his hand, and then like Chris was
Jeez.
like no, and then like, they shoot him. I was like, yeah, that's what the cops would do.
But at the same time, if you think about it, are we supposed to feel bad for him because he
Yeah,
was a corrupt cop leading a corrupt complete precinct?
yeah.
See, that's where that's the funny thing with this movie is it tells that line of like, aside from Zeke, who am I really supposed to feel bad for?
Yeah.
And I know a lot of movies like praise the movie for like its social commentary because it's about like police corruption, but like the Saw movies have been doing that since like the second one.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say this movie has done anything
It didn't
particularly
break any new
groundbreaking.
ground. I mean,
Yeah,
we
even for a
like you
Saw
said,
movie.
Eric Matthews, they pointed out he was corrupt. And then when we hit the fourth movie, they showed how Reg attacked that cop and Hoffman covered for him. So it's like we've known, like you said, we've known since the mid 2000s that these movies are talking about police corruption.
Yeah, even in 3D when you see Hoffman shoot a guy after he surrendered already in the
Mm-hmm.
flashback.
And then
Uh,
Gibson was the one who got like shipped off somewhere, and Hoffman got a promotion already.
yeah, I guess it was the timing of when this movie came out, but honestly, besides the timing, there's really I don't know, nothing really stands out about its social commentary.
Yeah, that's the thing I have with it. It's like, this is going to sound really bad because I've always had fun going to these Saw movies. And I was really excited for this one because I'm like, awesome. Like, this is a true spin-off. It's in the title, Spiral, from the book of Saw. It's not, I think I even saw an interview where Darren Lynn Bousman was talking, and they said something about like, so when are you guys making Saw 10? He's like, well, Spiral was not Saw 9. He's like, that was Spiral. He's like, Jigsaw was, Saw 8. He's like, this is a true spin-off.
Okay.
But it's just weird. This is the first one we're watching it. I don't know what it was. Like, Santino, I'm glad you really enjoyed it, but it's like, it's hard to describe. I just felt really underwhelmed by this film. I don't know what it was.
I really accept the flaws and all that. I'm just saying that I appreciate it when.
No, not even the flaws. I felt underwhelmed by it. Like, even Jigsaw, like, I walked out of the theater and I was like, yeah. And this, I walked out and I was just kind of like,
Yeah.
okay.
I think I don't know. I think on one hand, I think it takes itself too seriously. I guess I don't know what it is exactly, but the chaps don't have like a sense of like fun to them, I guess, as the other movies. And I think the twist is really what killed it because Jigsaw, I thought that movie was just kind of mediocre until like the third act came and it started getting like really batshit crazy. Whereas Spiral, I don't know, it just never crescendoed like that,
Mm-hmm.
It's not like we gave
That's
a shit
true.
about
William
something.
just shows up, and it, like I said, you showed your twist, but then you dragged it out for so long that it's like you didn't leave me with anything at the end that I'm supposed like. Aside from the obvious of Zeke wanting to go after William now, like, what hook is there? Like, what next? William already showed his hand that he was doing this because of the police corruption in this precinct. So when it comes to what comes next from Spiral, what could they do? I mean, if they choose to do something like Zeke going after William, fine. But now you're going to isolate a certain portion of that audience who wants the traps because you're not going to get it. You're going to get a police chase film if you go the logical point of good cop going after bad cop. So it's almost like, but if you do something with traps again, then it's like, all right, so what was Williams' point from the beginning?
I don't know.
I mean, if it's a standalone film, fine, not an issue. If that's the end, William gets away, no big deal. But
I guess that's what they're going for. Yeah, there's no hook. I guess it's supposedly Chris Rock's revenge quest against him, but
I guess so.
and I liked him. I liked Chris Rock in this movie. I will say that I really liked Chris Rock in this film.
I thought he was okay. He seems to have been on a bit of a like trying to get his dramatic breakthrough because he was in Fargo recently, and I thought he was really miscast in that one. Here, I think he's used a little better because his character's like more quippy and funny. Because in Fargo, he's like this like older like gangster type. Like he's like a Michael Corleone. He this is the kind of role you'd give to like Denzel Washington, someone who's like respectable and authoritative. But Chris Rock, he's got like this like high pitched voice, and he looks really young for his age. I thought he was used much better in Spiral. But
having Samuel L. Jackson, it's sad. This is probably the most forgettable Samuel L. Jackson role I've ever seen him do.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I still liked him in it. I like some of the dialogue between him and Chris Rock.
Him and that scene where him and Rock were in his kitchen. And like he just let himself in. That was good, going back and forth.
I do like the dialogue there. Yeah.
I just feel like Jackson was wasted in this in a way.
Yeah.
Like I almost feel like if you got Jackson, like I almost wish you could do more with him.
He's probably the first A-lister in a Saw movie, would you say?
Yeah.
I guess Carrie Elway's kind of was, but not really.
Let's see.
Same with Danny Glover.
I was gonna say Danny Glover was the first A-lister, definitely, and then Jackson was
much of an A-lister by the 2000s, was he?
He'd still had Lethal Weapon under his belt,
I guess. But yeah, so,
I mean, we'll just put it this, like you just said, the two biggest names of the Saw franchise were probably in this film, Rock and Jackson.
Right, and that's why I was kind of hoping Sam Jackson would be Jigsaw, because at least you'd have him around for a few more movies. But nope, he's dead.
I almost wish they'd gone with that. I think like some kind of like, son, I wish you'd joined me or something.
Yeah,
I almost feel like that would have been smarter than William.
Star Wars, like Luke, turn to the
dark. Yeah, that would have harkened back to the soap opera-ness of the
because I mean, this is the retired police captain who was corrupt as hell. It would have made almost more sense for him to be the one doing this, because he's wiping out all the people who knows the corruption that he was in charge of.
Yeah, or better yet, if you were targeting like the good cops who would have exposed like him and his bad cops and all the corruption they did.
Exactly.
But
that would have been. I hate when like we talk about these things and come up with better ideas than the movie had. That would have been like, this would have been better, because now it makes me look at the movie and be like, oh, you could have been better because a couple of guys on the internet came up with a better idea.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't hate this movie, but it's almost like the Friday the 13th movies, where it's like there will always be a connection that the first 8 have that 9 and 10 will always be separated from. And I always feel like this and Jigsaw almost feel the same. There's a tight-knit feeling that 1 through 7 have that Jigsaw and Spiral will never be associated with.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Do we have anything else to say about Spiral?
Nah, I'm good.
I will say that apparently it's possible that this movie was very much butchered by the studio and or the MPAA, because Darren Lynn on his social media, he's been constantly talking about scenes that got cut out, tracking shots that had to be shortened down, and I think an entire trap was removed from the movie.
Oh,
yeah.
So
no, I want to see it.
Yeah, I mean the movie's only 90 minutes long, which is, I think one of the shorter Saw movies. Yeah. I wouldn't mind seeing a director's cut of this. It might slightly improve it.
Well,
Slightly.
and you know what? Whenever that can happen, I always love it. I mean, it's going to be a probably bad example because I'm sure a lot of people out there will roll their eyes, but it's like BVS. To me,
Yeah.
the extended cut was really what put that movie at the rating spot that I have it at, because it's like the theatrical cut of BVS it's not that good. But it's like whenever you get to see a director's cut where it's like you look at it and you'd go, why did the studio cut that? Why was that cut out?
Hmm. I mean, I doubt this one would be as big an improvement, but
No.
it would be interesting.
But
I
like you
will.
said, I don't know, a whole trap cutout, that makes you wonder what was it and who was it for?
I
Yeah.
think. I think it was for like. There's like this like crime technician guy who was kind of like a dick to Chris Rock's character.
Huh.
I'm not sure if you remember, but he was like some forensics guy. I think it would have been for him, but
Was
I'm
it one
not.
of the guys who were like sitting at the round table when they were all trying to figure out where to go with everything?
I don't. I honestly don't remember. I think. Well, whatever. I think he's like one of the forensics guys when they're looking at the electric pool trap, and he's on like a laptop, and like he says something douchey to Chris Rock.
Okay.
Could be wrong though.
Well, you never know. I mean, it could happen. But so real quick, before we wind this down, I just want to read something I see right here on Wikipedia. So take it with a grain of salt. It says, for the future of the franchise, it says in April 2021, a sequel film titled Saw X was confirmed to be in development with Twisted Pictures. However, Bausman stated that it was a premature announcement that surprised him and the film's producers. He said, quote, just because we made Spiral doesn't mean Saw ceases to exist. Just because Spiral is here, that doesn't mean there won't be a Saw 9. This is not the 9th film in the Saw franchise. There easily could be a Saw 9 that follows Jigsaw. I think they're waiting to see how Spiral goes and how audiences respond to determine what happens next, end quote. So, but like I said, it only made 40.6 million against 20.
I mean, it had
The
the
studio
experience.
could look at that and say, yeah, we released it at a bad time post-pandemic. I mean, look at movies now. Movies now are making a lot more money than they did last spring.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
who knows?
That's why I think TV really is the best and safest route.
Yeah, for Saw, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, they're talking about it. Same thing. They're talking about making a TV show for it. So I hope they do. I think I agree. I would obviously like to see more movies in theaters for this, but at the same time, a TV series I'd have no problems with it. I'd love watching that.
Yeah, that would be interesting seeing like Logan team up with Shank from here, and then Chris Rock teams up with whatever her name was from Jigsaw.
Oh, Eleanor. That would be
Yeah.
done. I'm gonna talk to them. I'm gonna get you hired.
Yeah, hell yeah, dude.
All right, so that wraps up the Saw franchise. But before we go, let's just kind of do a thoughts on the franchise overall. And we'll launch into our rankings, and then we will say goodbye for 2021. So, Santino, you being the newcomer to this franchise, go ahead, give us your thoughts on this franchise overall, and then we'll jump to Dylan.
So overall, I did like it. It's a bit too gory at times, but overall, it's a great time. And
Hold up, a bit too gory at times, but your favorite trap from the first one was when the Asian cop got his head blown off.
yeah. I know, like I do like gore. There's just times where it's too much. And overall, as I see it, I think Saw is a I think there'll be movies I'll be revisiting, but not the entire franchise.
Fair enough. Dylan?
Yeah, I absolutely love this franchise. Sort of in a guilty pleasure kind of way. I often call it like my Twilight, pretty much, because I know they aren't good in the traditional sense, but I don't know. I just love how committed these writers are when it comes to like, keeping the flow of the story. The fact that parts 3 through 7 all take place like consecutively is great, and And yeah, it does satisfy my morbid curiosity of like, like I do like to think like, what would I be doing if I were in these situations? Um, yeah, it's enjoyable. I don't want to say trash, but it's
It's trash.
okay, fine. Trash is fine.
To me, this franchise will always this franchise will be like, to me, what teenagers had with Friday the 13th, Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, in the 80s. Like, I'll always remember my years of, going to see these every Halloween in theaters. It's just like, I'll always remember that tradition, the friends I went with, the guessing at what was going to happen, the initial reactions of what every twist was. Um, because remember, most of these came out in the early days of the internet, so spoilers weren't that prevalent. So every twist was that popped up was like, it was either telegraphed, we didn't see it coming, we got genuinely shocked. It'll just always represent just a fun time in life. And I've got I love this franchise so much that I've got 1 through 7 on DVD in the original like cases that were like really decorative. I'll show a picture or something of all of them. And I've got them all on Blu-ray. So it's like I've got 2 or 3 copies of all these movies. So I just, like you said, Dylan, they're kind of a guilty pleasure. I know they're not that good. I know they're not, but I love them. I can't help it. Even Saw 3D, which is like the bottom, I still enjoy watching parts of it because it's fun. Like, I have no hatred towards any of these movies. So let's get down to the rankings. Who would like to start?
Well, I will if you don't mind.
Go for it.
All right. So, how many are there? 9 movies, right? Okay. Number 9 on the list, that's Saw 3D. Just a, kind of lazy, half-assed finale. Has its moments, has some good traps, and there's some so bad it's good isms throughout. But yeah, overall, just pretty underwhelming. Number 8, Spiral. I appreciate that they tried to make a standalone film, but since it is a standalone, that means it could be judged on the merits of being a standalone film and not as a Saw movie. And in that regard, it's just pretty mediocre. Number 7 is Saw 4. Not much to say about this one. It had kind of a hard task of reviving the franchise after John Kramer had been killed. But overall, I thought it just wasn't particularly memorable, I guess. Number 6, Saw 3. I know it's unpopular. I know it's one of the better regarded ones. I think it's just a tad too slow, a little too mean-spirited even for the franchise, and the protagonist is too unlikable for me to truly to think it's one of the better sequels. It is ballsy though. I do like how they handle John Kramer and Amanda's stories. Number 5, Jigsaw. Fairly middle of the road for the most part, but I thought the ending was so over convoluted, and it was just so over the top and convoluted in a way that only a Saw movie could get away with. So I enjoyed that. Middle of the road. Number 4, Saw 5. Just a solid, straightforward kind of cat and mouse game between Hoffman and Strom, and the game, yeah, a little bit loosely connected to the plot, but it still had its moments for sure. Number 3 is Saw 6. The added level of social commentary gives it a sense of weight that a lot of the other ones don't, and the traps are even more over the top, so it kind of gets to a point where it's just fun. And yeah, I think it's probably the most consistently fast-paced and entertaining of the series. I think this is where the franchise truly gets its title as the Fast and Furious of the horror genre. I hear that a lot, and I think 6 kind of epitomizes that. Number 2, Saw 2. Does everything a solid horror sequel should. It ups the ante. There's, the traps are more ambitious, and we get to know more about Jigsaw himself. which is great. And yeah, number one, the first movie, no question. It's just it's probably the only one here that you don't have to judge as a Saw movie, like on its own as a a mystery thriller crime movie. It's effective, it's creepy, it's atmospheric, lots of clever twists and turns. Yeah, solid movie all around.
Very nice.
Yep.
Santino, what do you got for us?
Okay, so at the very bottom, saw the final chapter. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I hate it actually. Some really cool facts. Overall, a really convoluted plot, and the ending, as cool as it was, yeah, just didn't save the movie for me. So, at number 8 is Saw 5. Again, interesting, and I like the cat and mouse between Holloran and what was his name again?
Hoffman.
Hoffman, yeah.
No. Halloran was in Jigsaw.
Right. See, so many names like
Hoffman and Strom.
Hoffman and Straw. Yeah, I like cat and mouse. I like Strom's death, but overall, not so good. Number 7, Spyro. I like Zeke's story, and I like it does something different, but given your criticisms, I really bumped it down my list a bit. So yeah. Number 6, Jigsaw. Again, like, how many fucking apprentices does this guy have? I just feel like it's so like out of place, and I feel like it's so high tech. It doesn't feel like it should be in this place, but it is anyway. So like, okay, why not? And then at number 5, Saw 4. The death of Donnie Wahlberg was really cool, but overall, again, really convoluted. Number 4, Saw 2. Proper sequel, and overall, a great story. I just feel like there are way cooler movies than Saw 2. Number 3, Saw 3. Yeah, I know Dylan doesn't like it as much because I think it's way too gory, and I agree, but I do like the story of Jeff, and the traps were really awesome. Number 2, the original Saw. Yeah, this is one where it's like, huh, really? Yeah, I think the original Saw is cool and very like, how do I put this? Very independent. I respect what James Wan did. I just feel like Saw 6, which is at number 1, is way cooler and all the travel. So, yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's my ranking.
Very nice. No criticism. I've never seen someone put 6 at the top. But again, like we said, 6 is a fan favorite. I can't blame you. I'd rather you have that one there than like something random like Spiral.
Yeah. So how about you, Chad?
All right, I guess it's time for me. I'm the last one. Bottom of the list. Yeah, Saw 3D. Aside from all the other issues I pointed out, I don't like the 3D at all. I think it really takes away from it. Sticking 3D in a horror film, it's like you've destroyed the atmosphere of being a scary movie by sticking gimmick garbage thrown at the camera. And just the story itself was stupid, and it's unfortunate that the last 5 minutes can't save it. Everything with Gordon was awesome. Hoffman being trapped in the bathroom for the end, that was so cool. I loved that, but the rest just, no, it wasn't very good. Next one after that is Spiral. It's fine. I don't have a problem with it, but like I said, it didn't leave me with anything when I left. I wasn't angry or hyped up. I was just kind of like, all right, that was that one. After that is Saw 5. I don't like the main trap very much. I did not feel bad for any of those people. I think they all deserved to be there and they deserved to die. But the flashbacks with Hoffman meeting Jigsaw, I thought were really good. And like you said, the killing off of Strom was just kind of like, okay, well, he was the only competent. once you killed Carrie in 3, we kind of needed another competent cop, and we got that. And bringing back Perez in 6 to replace him was not the same thing. So, yeah, kind of killing off. I get why they killed off Strom to show Hoffman's smarts, but it's like, well, now what? But yeah, so that's where 5 is. Next is Saw 2. I know I'm in the minority. I'm just really not a fan of this movie. I don't really get the hype about it. I get that it took the original and it kind of upped everything, but to me, like in the grand scheme overall, it's fine. I just, even on my most recent rewatch, I still wasn't that impressed with it. I was just like, all right. I mean, I know there's better ones there, and there was more that impressed me more. So, following 2, right there in the middle, number 5 is Jigsaw. Like I said, I thought Logan was pretty cool. I thought his story made sense. I liked how it tied back to Jigsaw. I kind of liked the story of what happened with him. I liked the whole 10-year time gap between when the original trap took place and when what time period we were actually at. But like I said, stuff like where did Jigsaw's body go? How did Edgar get in the grave? Like you said, how did all the high-tech equipment get there back in the past? It's like, that's kind of like details where it's like, as a filmmaker, writer, that's kind of your job to look at questions like that and be like, oh shoot, we kind of got to cover it up. But whatever. Next on my list is Saw 6. Great film. I love the trap. I love how it tied back to John himself. I like how this is the one where Hoffman felt he was like, at his strongest. He'd beaten the FBI basically, but was almost taken down by Jill. Like I said, this was one that could have been, if they'd allow Hoffman to get killed, I thought this would have been a pretty good finale to the whole thing. But hey, had to keep going. The number 3 spot is Saw 4. I know you guys don't like it as much as me, but I'll always like Saw 4. I think it's just very dark, depressing. I think the whole pushing of Rigg as an accomplice to the FBI while simultaneously trying to teach him why Jigsaw does what he does, but it still backfires. I thought that was really interesting. And I thought the twist of taking place at the same time of 3 was actually really smart, as making it a placeholder after the shock of seeing Jigsaw get killed in Saw 3, because like we said, where do you go when your main villain gets killed? So I thought it was kind of smart to place this movie as that, sidequel while thinking of what comes next. Second place is Saw 3. Just pretty much the same as you said, Santino. It's competent. I like the traps. And it's funny, I don't even really like Jeff that much, but I do like everything what's going on with Lynn, Amanda, Jigsaw. I like seeing the backstory to Amanda getting involved in the traps themselves. I just think 3 is a really solid sequel, and it could another spot where it's like this could have been the end with Jigsaw getting killed. Spot 1, obviously, Saw 1. I rank it right up there with full-on horror classics from over the years. Things like the original Scream. I Know What You Did Last Summer, the original Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm not putting it up with the original Halloween. Not up there yet, but the original Saw is great. I definitely view it as a classic. And I think, like we said, Dylan, back in our first episode, I think you said it. What kind of brings it down as a classic itself is just the multitude of sequels that got dumped out all at once. It kind of taints it. So that is our rankings, guys. So what did everyone think of Christmas in Crime 2021? I hope you enjoyed it. And before we close out 2021 for the year, Santino, would you like to tell everyone how we're going to start off 2022?
Well, we're gonna be going to Gotham City, Chad, when we're gonna do all the Batman movies. That's a lot of them.
About time.
Dylan, if you want to join us for that, man, you're welcome.
Join us for whatever ones.
Yeah, that's a pretty damn long time to hold off the Batman movies.
Yeah,
We
I
did
know.
Spider-Man before we did Batman.
Were you guys just waiting for the Matt Reeves movie to come out, or?
I think we wanted to, but then we
Yeah.
were just like, I think Santino, you were just like, let's start the year off with a bang.
Yeah,
Oh,
Batman.
right. Well, can't wait.
Yeah, join us.
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
All right, so Chad, will you sign us off?
I will. Everyone who's listening, thank you for tuning in to 2021. We got a ton of backlog here that I think has been some really good stuff over the past year. I mean, there's Nightmare on Elm Street. There's the Hayao Miyazaki stuff we just did last November. I hope you've been enjoying that. There was Star Trek month. We talked the Leprechaun movies. We did the Mission Impossible movies. I think we genuinely had a pretty good year filled with some fun stuff that we talked about. If you've really enjoyed, Dylan being here, we did all the Hannibal Lecter movies. He and Ken were here for that. Ken and I have got our Universal Monsters reviews that we're doing every couple weeks. If you enjoy listening to us, maybe check out some of our backlog. But hey, it's been a fun year. We've got a lot of content ahead of us still. So tune in 2022 when we start things off with the Batman movies. So guys, this is Chad. Have a good night.
Santino, game over.
And this is Dylan. Santi already stole my my line, so
Ah.
bye, I guess. See ya.
All right, bye.